This is from a concerning customer saying that we cannot move the character in Magnum Combat, and I kind of get his perspective, but let me just focus on reintroducing what Magnum Combat is first to you. So Magnum Combat is actually a componentized combat system, which is something that is very suitable for Magnum Combat to be integrated to your project. So you have a complete project. Let's say you have a third-person shooter. All of a sudden, you have the interest to add melee combat system to your third-person shooter, and Magnum Combat is the way to go. That's why you could see how easy it is in the tutorials to add Magnum Combat to another project. You can see the integration process takes only minutes, and that is also why it is distributed as an asset pack instead of a complete project, making Magnum Combat easier for you to integrate to your own project, skipping the whole process of migration. But some of you might want to use Magnum Combat as a complete project, and that's fine. And some of you might want to use Magnum Combat with other engine versions, and that's fine too. And we're going to cover that in this video. How can we do that? So if you have a different engine version, the first thing you need to do is a third-person template and create. Next, let's add Magnum Combat to our own project, and it might be alarming to you to not see your own project, even if you type the project by name. And that's fine, you can just tick this box, show all projects, and click it, and then asset not compatible with version 5.3, please select closest alternative version. It's 4.27. Well, the asset cannot downgrade itself, I think. I don't know, I don't want to try it. So 4.27, and then add the project. Now we have a third-person template from Unreal 5, and we can move the Unreal 5 character, but when you change the game mode and use Magnum Combat's game mode, you cannot move the character from Magnum Combat. You cannot move the character. Now, why is that? It is because when we open the main character blueprint, we'll see that input axis move forward, input axis move right is gone. And inputs right here, if you want to check the inputs, the input buttons, they're gone too, because input action apparently have been deprecated in Unreal 5. So axis and action mappings are now deprecated. Please use enhanced input actions and input mapping context instead. What in the world is enhanced input? That's my first initial thought when I saw that enhanced input thing, and then I find out that enhanced input is actually the greatest thing ever. Why can't we move the UE5 character? It's because the UE5 character is using enhanced input, which we can see right here. The camera input has been changed into enhanced input action. Enhanced input action IA move. They've changed it. And so what can we do here? What can we do? We have two options. We can add the input axis move forward back to the project settings, which is located right here. We can add our own axis mappings, new axis mappings, or we can add another action mapping. For example, we have input action attack, right? So we add attack as an action mapping. Now we have action mappings attack, and then you assign the button, left mouse button, and then we compile to see that input action attack has now started to exist back in UE5. So let's see if that works. Now we can attack, right? Actually, you have three options here. I've shown you the first option. What about the second option? The second option is that you can just do this. Left mouse button. Now, I could have done this to all Magnum Combat projects. I could have done this, but this is actually bad practice because you're limiting the attack button to only left mouse button. What about gamepad button? We need gamepad buttons, right? And then what about other buttons? What if we want the player to change their own buttons? This is where enhanced input come in. It is the greatest. I mean, the old action mappings is cool too, but it works the same way. So if we want to add gamepad something, gamepad, D-pad, or whatever, but enhanced input can be copied to other projects. That is why the third solution is that we would like to copy the movement input, all the enhanced input from the third-person character from Unreal 5 onto our Magnum player base. Or we can do the other way around, so we can copy the Magnum Combat codes onto the third-person character from Unreal 5. I have a tutorial for that. You can just see the ALS tutorial and it basically covers that. But right now we're going to use the controls from third-person character onto our Magnum Combat character. So the first thing you need to look at is actually the movement input, because Magnum Combat is asking for directions from the main character. Here, I have already set up an example of using a movement input, but we are actually going to delete this later because we won't be needing it. We have set forward axis and we have right axis. And if you don't have forward axis and right axis, you can just promote this into a variable and call it whatever you want. Replace add movement input with movement in combat. And to do that, just hold control where you're replacing the pins. And then you can delete this. The forward axis should be set right here with forward, and the right axis should be set right here. So right after the movement in combat, we set the right axis because this is right vector and this is forward vector, and we're gonna put the forward axis variable right here, right after movement in combat. Let's replace this, 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 and this, and delete the add movement input. Now the forward axis will get the value from here, and the right axis will get the value from here. Now that we have set up the right and forward axis, we're going to give this data onto the component asking for directions, which is give data node. Now we can safely delete this. We don't even need it as a reference anymore. And we delete this. We bring out the variable get forward axis and right axis. And we're going to call event tick to continuously update the movement data and make it neat, give data. Now that we've done that, you might think that, oh, no, we can move. No, actually, there's something that you need to do first to make sure that this movement input is applied. Now, this custom event is actually begin play event from the UE5 character. Let's see our own begin play. Begin play is located right here. We need this to happen at begin play, so we create a custom event called add input mapping. And we're going to add it right here. Add input mapping. And then we're good to go. We can move properly now, right? And if you still have concerns about your own inputs, now you know how to set up your own inputs. You can set this up with your own enhanced input, or you can do the input action rewriting on the project settings. But I really suggest you learn about enhanced input. I think it is within your interest if you're a game developer to learn about enhanced input. I just won't teach you that because that's not my thing. There are other tutorials to teach you about enhanced input. So now we have covered using Magnum Combat with other engine versions, and we have addressed the concern about not moving the Magnum Combat character. Okay, so as always, thanks for watching and good luck with your project.